Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tech Talk. It's going to look a little different moving forward. So we're moving our Tech Talk from our typical podcast that Brian and I, the bearded duo, have been doing at Connect Us, over to a live webinar series. So thanks for joining us and attending. Today we actually, so as we go into the live webinar series, what we're going to do is we're going to go further into the details of some of the discussions that we've had and kind of hit surface level with our previous podcasts. So now we're going to take this opportunity to kind of dive further into some of those solutions, and to kick us off for our live webinar series, we have John Miani from Cradlepoint, sales engineer with Cradlepoint.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so we're super excited. And when we get into the just craziness of cybersecurity and all that stuff, we couldn't think of a better topic to kick off, especially our very own Brian East. I don't know, he's got like 17 degrees in cybersecurity or something awesome like that. I just say he has more degrees than a thermometer. So anyhow, we are gonna jump off from here and let them two take over. Brian, I'll let you kick it off.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. I'm Brian East. I'm the wireless WAN architect at Connectus Corporation. We've got Michael Santiago in the back. He is our executive producer, the man behind the curtain who's making all of this happen. Thankfully, he's doing that. I wouldn't begin to know how to do it. But I've had the pleasure of working with John. He's one of the smartest and most knowledgeable people in this cellular industry, particularly with cybersecurity. John has helped me out a million times with, the customer's asking for this and I have no clue how to do it. And I asked John, and John's like, oh yeah, that's easy, blah, 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 blah. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce John Miani with Cradlepoint, part of Ericsson.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Connect Us, for allowing me to come in. So yes, thank you. I am a sales engineer here at Cradlepoint, supporting our partners. And Brian and Ryan were like the first actual partner I met. I've been here about a year, and I got the pleasure of working with them. And we wanted to bring what really is happening in the industry, because life isn't all about a connection anymore, right? Life is about the connection, how to connect many different ways, and most importantly, how to secure it. Brief background on myself. I've been in the data networking industry for many years. I spent a bunch of years at Cisco, then I worked for some MSPs and data center, and I kind of brought it all together here with Cradlepoint in the past year. So let's jump right in. So Brian, I got a question for you. What do all these companies have in common?
I visited them all. Just kidding.
There you go.
Just kidding. They've all been hacked, man. In like the last 5-10 years, they've been
bang.
Yeah, hacked bad.
They've all been hacked. They've all been hacked bad. Thank you. And you're wondering, like, why? Because security has been on the forefront, right? So companies have CISOs, Chief Information Security Officers, BISOs, Business Information Security Officers. So many people focused on security. What is happening? Well, guess what? Cybersecurity solutions are getting better, but the industry changes are happening faster than they can be protected. Couple items on this screen I just want to point out is remote sites growing super fast, more IoT. Any place you see, if you're driving through a city and you see cameras on the corner, that is IoT. There is some sort of device, hopefully a Cradlepoint in there, giving that camera or that traffic light a connection back to its home base. And you got this hybrid workforce, right? Everybody's working from everywhere. So I work at my home, in my car, in an airport, on a train. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is security threats are just continuing to increase. So what are some of these security threats? What areas are really being affected, right? And it's all of them. These happen to be the three main groups that Cradlepoint deals a lot with, right? So we have the branch, retail stores, healthcare, you name it, doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, branches everywhere. Instead of funneling everything back to a data center through a traditional VPN, you're finding now that they're trying to redirect traffic direct internet for cloud apps. Okay, same thing's happening in a vehicle. We show a police vehicle, transportation, fire, police. All of these vehicles are embedding technology like a Cradlepoint, hopefully a Cradlepoint, like I said, for secure access. A typical police vehicle might have 5 to 10 devices inside it. LPR, AVL, the vehicle monitoring, all that need connection back to a data center. And I think we talked about IoT with
let me interrupt you real quick. I got a question, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
This last slide, you talked about all of the different things that are happening, hybrid workforce, a lot more IoT stuff. Can you give me an example, right? Recent of like particularly with a city or a municipality or a school district or something where this increased, like there was damages done, there was hacks done, and they were successful as a result of these increased attack surfaces?
Yes, excellent question, Brian. So there has been a municipality in the news lately, and it actually got hacked through a phishing attack through a remote site, through a user that was able to get $6 million transferred out of that municipality to the hackers' bank accounts in the past few weeks. So if you search that, you will find it. It happened in Connecticut, and there was also several healthcare facilities. You did mention education, and that is the number one area for hacking right now because they're looking for kids detailed information that sometimes is less protected, that ties them back to actual. Well, it's kind of scary because if they get information on a kid from a counselor or something that's supposed to be private, they can exploit that. And that's really the scary part of where these breaches are happening.
See, as a kid, it was always, as a Gen Xer, like it was always my dream to hack into the schools and change my grades.
Change your grades.
But that was the extent. I never did it.
Right.
Could have been cool.
On the record. Officially. So what you say, what you brought up is, this is scary stuff. I mean, like I said, we're getting better at protecting, but yet ransomware attacks are up. Last year, 18%. Phishing attacks. So phishing attacks alone are increasing at an all-time high. Why is that? Why aren't we training people? Don't your companies, don't your end users get training to say, oh, don't click on this email. You can tell it looks funny. Well, we have a little situation we call Johnny Clicks a Lot. And these phishing emails are playing on people's emotions. They're bringing them in. And Johnny Clicks a Lot is clicking away happily saying, oh, this is cool. I can sign myself up for this free demo of something. And that's how that recent attack in Connecticut happened through a phishing email. And 90% of cyber attacks start with phishing. So bottom line is, remote users can't change all their behavior. You have to protect things at 2 different levels, actually at 3 different levels. So let's get into that. So why is this new thing that people have seen out there called SASE, right? So Gartner Group, which is one of the top advising firms who evaluates technology and rates technology, they came up with this a few years ago. SASE stands for Secure Access Service Edge. What that's doing is just very simply taking the security elements that have been out there from firewalls and antivirus and desktop and the network, which is SD-WAN, right? Software-defined WAN, so that you can have multiple accesses. And it's bringing them together so that there is a common framework for how to protect these as we move them in the modern enterprise for the cloud. So we got to include cloud in all of this. Okay.
It's getting a little spicy here, right? So this sounds great from an industry perspective. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one. I hate phrases like that. The industry's doing this, the industry's doing that. What does that mean, right? How do I ask this? What is Cradlepoint specifically doing to implement SASE, right? How are you protecting the SD-WAN? How are you implementing security? How are you making this happen?
Okay.
Like real stuff.
Awesome. Real stuff. Well, the one thing that this is again, concept, and then we're going to bring you in a few minutes down to actual product and solution. So let's talk about why, first of all, we're different. So we don't look at SD-WAN as all the other traditional vendors look at it. They look at it as basically wired networks that have limitations, right? Whether it's broadband access, fiber, whatever access they're in, they have a certain way of managing that connectivity. And they add security on top of it with a VPN. Very simple. But we're in the business of delivering not only wired connections through our products, but most importantly, 5G cellular optimization, right? So we have to know that whatever we do can't just run over a wired connection. It has to be able to run from the wired to the wireless, and it has to be smart. And actually, this Enterprise Management Associates is a group that we consult with to basically keep us honest in that 5G SASE is how we're going to bring the modern enterprise solutions, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So you'll see the first bucket we have is cellular intelligence. Okay, so yeah, there's this word cellular telemetry. Okay, we're going to optimize the network using cellular telemetry. We are going to also bring you simple WAN orchestration, right? Connect and go. How do you manage thousands of users or thousands of endpoints quickly and easily? And also, how do we do it if really there's no network involved? Let's say that you're not a Cradlepoint customer, or you simply are just deploying a large workforce and you need to make sure they're protected. And you don't even have any apps yourself, right? It's all cloud. How do you keep that protected? These are the three main buckets that we're talking about because they all play into cellular connectivity. Brian, do you know much about cellular telemetry, being a wireless expert?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what telematics do you guys look at? And
Right.
actually, for the folks who don't know what cellular telemetry is, help us out.
Okay. So
I've done a lot with cellular telemetry, but you're the teacher here.
That's cool. Everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody has either had 1, 2, 3, or all of the carriers. And why do people change carriers? They change carriers because sometimes where they go, most of the time, suddenly that carrier that they were on, the signal isn't as good, or something's changing and they switch to another carrier. So think about that as a police car driving across town, right? Trying to get to the scene of a critical, a hacker getting away. And as they're driving across town, they're on cellular, they're beaming back their data, they're getting updated data, and the signal of that primary connection drops below a certain threshold. We have the ability to just flip over to the secondary connection, giving you excellent connection across two different carriers. Now, the challenge is you don't want to lock yourself into your security just on one carrier, right? You want to be able to have the secure connection flow very smoothly across. And let's take that one step farther. That police car then drives into the police yard to sit. All the data that it's collecting that was too big to transfer, it then connects over Wi-Fi that connection then has to flow over, has to stay secure. You don't want a hacker sitting outside the police yard hacking into the Wi-Fi and then grabbing information. So cellular telemetry is using all the pieces of the analytics that Cradlepoint is really the leader in to keep your connection solid and also keep it secure. So let's take a look at Connect and Go Trust. So Connect and Go is how you do secure WANs quickly and easily, right? So what happened in the world today is everything is, all the endpoints usually have a VPN on there, and VPNs tend to get complicated. And especially if you're in mixed environment VPNs, there's a lot of steps to connect it. Let's talk about how once you have it connected, what is the differences in how this works? So think about an elevator at a hotel in a big city. You check in, you get your room key, you go to the elevator, you press the button for your floor. But what else can you do? You can actually press the button for any other floor. So you can get in, go to any other floor, knock on other people's doors, potentially pop into somebody's room. Now let's take this with what's going on in a modern enterprise, the new physical security. So you're a user at a company, you have your profile, you have 4 floors in your building. We actually have this in the Cradlepoint's new ultra modern facility out in Idaho. You get your profile, and your card key for that building only allows you to get to the floor that you are access to. So if you are in sales, they keep you on the first floor. They don't want you anywhere near engineering or the HR. So you are locked
for good
in.
reason.
And for good
Wait, did
reason.
I say that out loud?
That's okay. Bring it on, because that's very important, right? So it eliminates what we call the bad actors from getting into the network. So take that physicalness and let's bring it to what a real application is. Traditional VPNs are, you get into the network and then you can go anywhere. We call that moving laterally, right? So I came in through branch A. Oh, look at that. I can move right over to branch B. I can go into the data center. You let me in. I passed your security, right? Here's my username and password. I'm in. So we have to take that and make that a restricted. It is not just letting you in. It's before you get anywhere, deny all by default. So no trust by default. Verification required by all. Super important, because we're going to show you a couple different ways, both from a network connection and also a cloud connection, managed and unmanaged users, right? So cloud delivered security has a lot of holes in it, because they want you to still try to funnel people to the data center, right? So user comes in, they go to the data center. That is not a true cloud delivered security. That's not what SASE is delivering. We are delivering a cloud delivered that locks you down, right? Enterprise applications being protected from unmanaged users. So another phrase we're going to make sure everybody understands is zero trust, right? So zero trust is just what it says. I don't trust you until I've already not only verified you, but told you only where and what you can do.
All right. So hypothetically, if you had, I don't know, an HVAC company, and you were going to interface with a giant retailer that had a red bullseye, how would you?
I think we saw that earlier, right? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it just came to me. Maybe I made it up. Probably not. I mean, how does that keep from becoming a multi-billion-dollar breach? What would this ZTNA have done to stop that?
So, excellent question. Unmanaged users are the toughest, because traditional solutions, while they may have given that HVAC company a VPN or some sort of agent for their computer, they never really were able to protect. That only limits where that HVAC vendor can get into. But that doesn't mean that they were protected inside Target. It says, okay, HVAC user, you're logging in. I'm going to give you access to this part of the network. And by the way, other systems run where the HVAC systems is. And that breach that you're talking about is exactly what happened, right? HVAC user came in with a valid VPN. However, that HVAC's PC was compromised, and that hacker was able to then spread that malware into that company, and it made its way over to the credit card system, and lo and behold, biggest billion-dollar breach that to date. So how do we separate that? Let me show you how we do that, because that's very important. It's not only about just restricting where the users can get, but it's actually restricting what they see. Are they getting onto the actual application, or a term we're calling remote browser isolation? Maybe they only need to see a copy of that and only input a few words, and they're never allowed on the end device. So, very important part of how we do all this, and for those who aren't familiar with it, is our NetCloud solution is actually built for lean IT teams, because nobody has enough people to do everything we need. And our 5G SASE solution is all managed from the same. So Brian, when these guys deploy a Cradlepoint network, they're using NetCloud from a central site to be able to easily upturn things, easily configure, push out configs easily. That is going to be across the board as we talk about our networking solutions and our application solutions. Let's jump in to see how it's going to roll out real quick, okay? So you see the networking components on the left side, and we have what's called the private or the application components on the right, right? So networking has our solution called NCX, NetCloud Exchange. We'll get into that. And then the right side has our solution that's based upon our Ericom acquisition earlier this year. That is all the clientless cloud-based security. So again, we're giving you both capabilities, network-based with hardware, our clientless base just as a service. So we're going to do a couple flows here. And Brian, kick in anytime you have a question. Let's go ahead and show something about what this actually is. So I'm going to show you what a secure network is. In a VPN world, it was purely just a basic tunnel from an end device up through some sort of hardware head end. What Cradlepoint has done is we've created this service gateway, which is actually virtualware. Okay, it can run on site in a VM cloud, and it can also run in AWS and Azure. What this does is this lets you do the very simple orchestration of deploying VPNs in 3 clicks, and you can secure the branch, right? They can go up here, they can get to their data centers, they can get to their applications, but they can't go this way, okay? Because it's deny all by default. Very important concept. You no longer are just going to allow anybody to go anywhere. So if there's a bad actor out here, right? Bad actors are the industry term for the hacker. And they were able to, I'm in a traffic light area and I see I can get access. It's an IoT device. I get access. They're not going to go anywhere because they're not classified as this end device. They're trying to do an IP scan. The IP scan gets stopped. The IP addresses get hidden. They can't actually get anywhere. So this person, this bad actor comes in, and that's where they stop. All right. And then, of course, it's reported on. So it's all about configuring orchestration quickly, good flow, policies, and then reporting. At the end of the day, it should make your IT team sleep much better at night, and your CIO and your CFO. So that's our NCX. So that is a Cradlepoint delivered hardware. We're seeing that being rolled out at branches, in water treatment systems, in vehicles, right? So police departments are looking at this because they have that Cradlepoint in there with many different devices. The next option jumps to, well, what if I don't have a Cradlepoint device everywhere? Or what if I want a lot of external people? Or I just want to keep things a little simpler. This is showing both solutions, but I'm going to focus on this third-party contractor up here, right? So the third-party contractor does not have any agent, does not have a VPN specifically bent. They just need to get to a SaaS application for this company that manages their HVAC. Okay, let's go back to that. So how does this user come in, get the secure access, and not be able to mess up the HR or mess up the credit card? So
yeah, so that's kind of what I want to look at here for a sec, right? So, okay, one of the oldest hacking tools that's been around for a few decades, for as long as SQL's been around, SQL injection attacks, right? And you know what? So the SQL injection attack, it's so easy to defend against, right? You just sanitize the data once it gets in, so people aren't getting admin credentials and whatnot. If we're not going to interface directly with the network,
right,
how does that get protected with this Cradlepoint 5G SASE? And say it's a legitimate, right? Say it's a legitimate, your third party MSP or something. Some database expert goes in, is going to make some changes to some tables, throw in some schemas, whatever you want to call it, and it's legitimate changes. If it's not directly interacting with the network, how do we make sure? What are the mechanics behind how Cradlepoint does that, accomplishes?
Right. So what you're saying is this person has to come in, right? They're coming in through the cloud, through the internet, and
Okay.
they are going to go to the private data center. However, based on the credentials that we've given this user, we're going to tell them that here's the place you want to go, right? hvac.company.com. That's coming in, that's protected, that's going to stop right here. And we're going to then create a new connection into that application. And what's happening in this area, I'm going to show you right here, right? This is where we have the ability to do isolation, right? So the user comes in, the secure web gateway that they've been pointed to because they've tried to go to a secure resource is going to take action. It's going to say, oh, okay, I don't want this user to have direct access to that application. I want them to view it in a remote browser. So we are literally application, container that has a copy of that web page or that data, and then the user. So that when this user then says, okay, I'm going to upload a file, we can sanitize the file here. We can deny it because we don't let them upload files. We basically give them the ability, the administrators, the ability to control everything that they do. And I think a future Tech Talk series we should do is actually do a live demo of this, because we can turn it on and off and show you how both managed and unmanaged users can be isolated. To talk about remote browser isolation and secure web gateway is great, but to see it, even better. So I know you're thinking, Ryan, where is
Probably not.
What?
I don't do a whole lot of thinking. It hurts.
I know you're thinking, where is this? All right. So this is, when we talk about a cloud delivered, this has been in place for about 7 years. So we're not new to this game. Just because Cradlepoint bought this company doesn't mean they just started. This is the network that delivers this cloud security. So you can be sure it is redundant, highly available. We have more than 50 POPs globally, and we're turning up new POPs all the time. So this is how a user, and again, I'll just go back to a quick illustration, right? A user sitting out here trying to get to the data center is going to actually flow through a POP, get sanitized, get controlled, get to the data center, and get back. That's as simple as it is.
Less than a 0.05 millisecond latency.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
And we're going to show that. And it's built on all industry-leading tools like Docker, Rancher, Kubernetes. In order to show you to do that browser, we have an example of, streaming a news site where it just reduces the profile on the end user because they don't have any, there's no, scripts running on the end user. They're just purely seeing a copy of the data. So it's going to not harm the end user or not harm the company. All right, so let's bring it home. So
yes,
wireless WANs, your business, right? Going crazy, new opportunities, wireless first day one, failover. What's that doing? It's enabling more people, more connectivity, increasing the attack surface. We're combating a lot of this end user issues with our Ericom ZT Edge solution. So again, let's show you a live demo in the next webinar we do. Cradlepoint's own next generation firewall, which we showed you delivered in software versus buying lots of hardware, is actually key so that you have wired, wireless, 5G, all secured in the same manner. And again, it's all managed from NetCloud, makes everything super simple for the IT administrators. And with that, questions, comments, these are the guys.
I'll jump back on.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Take it away, guys.
Take it away. So we did have a few questions. One of them that let's discuss a little bit here and get some answers for. So the question is, if I connect to a public network, is there anything I should be cautious of before joining? Can my computer or my passwords be hacked?
The answer is absolutely.
Brian?
Absolutely. A lot of people, there's a lot of attack surface, say at Starbucks, or even worse at a local coffee shop, because right, Starbucks has they're a big company, so they're more likely to have a strong IT infrastructure that could focus on security. But all of these free, there's a study recently done about how many cyber attacks occur using the airport's free Wi-Fi, and it is ridiculous. So a couple of things that you can do to mitigate that is do not connect to a free Wi-Fi network. Cradlepoint at your kid's Taekwondo gym, not Cradlepoint, sorry, at Starbucks at your kid's Taekwondo gym. Yeah, definitely connect through Cradlepoint, right? Because it's pretty secure. But your airport, it's ridiculous. Password recommendations, always. I like to double the minimum requirements and stay away from anything that is whole words. And oftentimes, what you can do is keep something like LastPass, or even better, I use what do I use? I forget.
LastPass is good though.
Yeah, there's a lot of
you don't just keep your passwords in a Word document? I thought that was what we're supposed to do.
A spreadsheet.
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah, I've got a cool.
It does make it easier for username and password. So
I got this cool thing. I always got called right from some guy who can't speak English very well, telling me he's from Microsoft and my computer has a virus and he needs to go in and fix it. So I would whip up a VM of Windows 7, and I had a single file. It was a batch file on the desktop, but I changed the icon to make it look like a Microsoft Word doc, and I just named it credit card passwords.
Oh.
And invariably, these guys would pull it off of, copy it onto their computer and attempt to open it, but really they're running a script and automatically elevates itself and essentially tries to log into the CIA and the FBI and all these things that puts them on a radar, and then deletes the registry and reboots.
Nice.
So it gets him in a lot of trouble, and then it just destroys his computer long enough for the agencies to grab his IP address and physical location.
Nice.
So yeah, don't ever type out in free text your passwords. If you're in, and it used to be safe that you could like type out your password onto a little notepad and take a picture of that and send that via email to somebody, but that's no longer safe either because of all of the AI stuff. I mean, that can be cracked really, really easily.
You just violated like 4 different security best practices.
Yeah.
In the notepad, clear text, take a picture, emailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like 15 years ago, you could get away with that.
Yeah.
Today, nope.
Awesome. Yeah, and one other question that came in, and I'll just
KeyPass.
What's that?
KeyPass was the other one. Like LastPass. KeyPass I use a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. One of the other, and we probably can take a moment just to give a little bit of a chat about resiliency and redundancy when we're using the cellular network. Unfortunately, as we see coming this week, it looks like Florida's going to get hit with a hurricane, right? And so we discussed just the inherent resiliency and redundancy in using something like a Cradlepoint router and a mobile network to back up your primary internet connection. So one of the questions that came in was asking about, what that looks like. So John, I don't know if you want to just take a moment to chat just a little bit about how that core competency is for Cradlepoint and, for those that are affected, for businesses, for point of sale systems, all that kind of good stuff, and how Cradlepoint can help with that.
So that is a great one. On the eve of, I just saw the news, it was elevated to a hurricane. And yes, we have some experience in Florida with hurricanes. And so FEMA, for one, is a well-known customer of ours, as they have their little mobile kits, and they are all armed with mobile connectivity to get down to any issues. Like, hopefully there won't be any major issues, but wherever there is, they will be there with full connectivity, always keeping in touch. For your businesses, yes, you absolutely, your landline could be down for days, if not weeks. The cellular environment in Florida has tested this tremendously well, has been extremely resilient, right? So those towers are built to withstand these things. On top of that, you have redundancy towers. You have areas that are put on top of solid buildings, not just towers. You never know, because 5G is not just made up of gigantic towers, it's made up of microsites that are also spread around the cities. So from a failover standpoint, number one is if you're in a critical business, you want to look to make sure you have some backup, because even if you're a gas station, hey, I have power, but I can't process credit card transactions and nobody has cash, so people can't buy my gas. So you want to make sure, yes, I have a way to get my credit card systems up connected quickly so that I can keep people happy, people getting around, vehicles, emergency, everything needs to stay connected during a disaster.
Awesome.
Make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Almost as bad as when you do have those credit card systems that can store the information until the internet's back up.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be hours, days, maybe weeks before you find out, oh, that card got declined. It won't get declined on the spot, so you're out money.
So you just brought into a fact that that's an opportunity for these bad actors, right? They're like, oh, I'm going to go see what I can gain from this disaster. It's terrible, right? But we can't let them try to take advantage of these situations.
Yeah, the only people that should be able to take advantage of that stuff are politicians.
Well documented.
Yes.
There
Put it
you
in
go.
writing.
So yeah, so that brings us to the end of our discussion and our live webinar series for Tech Talk. Thank you, John, for joining us. For sure.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you so much. Keep doing
Yeah.
what you're doing, and again, we're here to help and help solve your customers' problems together.
Awesome. For everyone else out there, continue to follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube and all of our social media areas. This is being recorded, so this will be actually published as well and hit our channel as well. So if you didn't join us live, you can continue to actually drop back and view it. So thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have an amazing day.
And as always,
Thank you.
stay metal.
Stay metal.